From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center in Quezon City, this is Y News.
Good evening. The Philippine National Police files murder charges against two co-detainees who allegedly mauled Genesis Argoncillo to death. But the family of the victim believes the police committed lapses leading to Argoncillo's demise. Grace Casin tells us why.
The Philippine National Police have identified two fellow detainees of Genesis Argoncillo who died after sustaining fatal blows while inside a detention cell in Novaliches on June 18. QCPD Director Police Chief Superintendent Joselito Esquivel Jr. says murder charges have been filed against Richard Bautista and Justin Mercado, who allegedly mauled Argoncillo to death. The two were pinpointed by several inmates who said that some members of the Sputnik gang beat the victim after he allegedly stepped on their feet while he was walking around the detention cell.
Nag-world po doon sa loob ng kulungan, ma'am. Tinaway lang muna po siya, tapos tumigil siya.
Tapos?
Umulit na naman po.
Argoncillo was apprehended by Quezon City Police in Barangay Sauyo on June 15. He died on June 18 while in police custody. Police say the jail warden was not aware of the conflict within the cell because the suspects allegedly hid it from their view.
So whenever they try to beat up somebody will their members of their gang would stand up on the at the front of the jail so that the police will not see it.
4 members of the QCPD Station 4, including its station commander, were relieved while investigation is underway. PNP is also probing whether Esquivel should be removed for command responsibility. The family of Argoncillo, however, is skeptical on the ongoing probe, believing that the police committed negligence in the incident.
Hindi naman gaano kalaki ang kaso ng kapatid Queen. Wala lang siyang damit pang itaas.
The Public Attorney's Office meanwhile expressed willingness to help Argoncillo's family in filing charges against concerned parties.
At ang PAO po naman handang magbigay ng legal assistance.
QCPD meanwhile vows to continue apprehending persons who violate local ordinances like roaming half-naked in public, catcalling, urinating, smoking, and drinking in public places. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Some residents in Tondo are calling on the Philippine National Police to clarify its anti-loitering policy amid fears and criticisms over the government's crackdown on local law violators. But why do some people feel the need to linger on the streets, especially at nighttime? Let's find out why from May Bermudez, who had a brief immersion with the so-called loiterers in Baseco, Manila.
Police apprehension of street loiterers has sparked outrage and criticisms from different groups in the past few days. Though authorities have initially explained they are only rounding up those who violate local ordinances to prevent crimes, some residents cannot help but feel afraid amid reports on alleged arrest of innocent bystanders. But why do some people feel the need to linger on the streets? To fully understand, the UNTV News team went to Baseco compound in Tondo, Manila to talk with some residents. We found Veronica Cañedo, a mother of 5, while relaxing outside their home around noon. She says she prefers to stay outside because their house lacks proper ventilation.
Ano po kasi, nagpapahangin lang po ako. Gawa po ng mainit. Kaperaso lang po yung ano namin.
Melchor Pahanilla also expresses the same reason.
Kapahinga lang po.
Mercy Fabia, meanwhile, is complaining about her reduced income after she stopped selling used clothing and other things at night for fear of being arrested.
Nibenta mga TV, mga flat screen, bigyan ako nila 100.
Ngayon,
Wala na.
Veronica and Melchor say they understand the government's need to intensify operation against crime, but they are appealing for clarification on anti-loitering policy.
Halos po, kahit po nakahubad, giinom sa kalsada, hinuhuli po nila. Minsan nga po, kahit nga walang kasalanan, nakukuha. Siyempre po, nadadamay po yung walang alam. Unang-una po, sa limbawa po, bibili lang. Maya-maya kinukuha na.
Police initially said it is mandated to maintain peace and order in the country and is bound to implement ordinances approved by the local government units. Authorities also clarified that a person can refuse invitation to go to police precinct but implore the public to familiarize themselves with local ordinances. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Duterte administration vows to continue its campaign against illegal drugs and crimes following a social weather station survey showing a drop in the number of families victimized by common crimes in the first quarter of 2018. Here's why from Rosalie Cos.
Some residents and business proprietors in Barangay Santo Niño, Quezon City now feel relatively safer with the increased security measures in their neighborhood. One of them is Melissa Sandoval, who said she was robbed 4 years ago and is thankful for the upgraded security system in their barangay.
So may CCTV po kasi. Opo, kasi dati po wala, maraming tambay po dyan sa labas. Ngayon may curfew po kasi kaya natatakot siguro yung mga kabataan.
Local eatery owner Romel Ocampo also believes that police visibility helps in deterring crimes. An official also reveals that small businesses have now opened in their place because of the improved peace and order situation.
Lagi naman puro responde yung mga polis dito, lagi nag-open ito.
May mga tindahan na nag-open ng 24 hours. Unlike before na as much gusto nila, mas maaga, mas makapagsara sila kasi nga takot sila sa kung anong pwedeng mangyari sa kanila.
This somewhat corresponds to the latest survey results released by the social weather stations in March 2018. The survey conducted from March 23 to 27 shows that the number of Filipino families victimized by common crimes declined to 1.5 million or 6.6%. This is 1 point lower than the 7.6% in December 2017 survey. The survey also shows that 6.1% of families have lost properties to street robbery and carjacking, while 0.6% said they were hurt by physical violence. According to Malacanang, lower common crime rate are significant strides of the anti-illegal drugs and anti-crime campaign of the administration, adding that the public sentiment shown in the survey boosts the morale of the law enforcement agencies. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque also says the government vows to continue their efforts to ensure the safety of all Filipinos. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
The Interagency Council for Traffic apprehends several city buses and issues violation tickets to a number of bus drivers during an inspection in Muntinlupa City. Joan Nano explains why.
The Interagency Council for Traffic or IAC held a surprise inspection of buses at the Alabang South Station Terminal in Muntinlupa City earlier. This after a passenger bus collided with two other vehicles along EDSA Magallanes last Tuesday, injuring 20 people. Several buses passed the carbon emission test, but some failed as they emit dark smokes that contribute to the formation of greenhouse gases. IAC also discovered that some of the buses have bald tires and missing screws, while some have no spare tires and fire extinguishers.
Kasi po ang aksidente kahit anong oras mangyayari, wala pong maliit. Yung handbrake po, napaka-importante. Isang gulong na kalbo, may epektong malaki.
A number of bus drivers have also been issued with violation tickets due to broken signal light. The drivers claim they are aware of the problems with their buses.
Nakikita rin namin yan. Mayroon kaming bago kasi hindi pa nakakabit. Tinicheck ko naman ma'am, pero kaya pa yon. Yung hindi naman masyado pudpud kaya, ayos pa naman ma'am.
Sinek ko sir, ma'am kasi nawawala. Hindi maiwasan kasi nawawala talaga yung signal light minsan.
IAC prohibits the operation of the buses found with violations, while bus drivers who were issued with violation ticket were fined with not less than 2,000 pesos. IAC reminds drivers and operators to regularly inspect their passenger vehicles to ensure the safety of passengers. Meanwhile, the LTFRB imposes a 30-day suspension on Joycel Bus following a road mishap involving one of its unit on June 19. The board also issues a show-cause order for its operator as it sets to hear the case on July 4. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Muntinlupa City.
The Land Transportation Office will begin releasing motor vehicle plates next month. However, the agency clarifies that not all vehicle owners can receive license plates. Here's why from Monokson.
Around 400,000 new motor vehicle plates have been distributed by the Land Transportation Office to its district offices across the country. The LTO is just waiting for a go signal to begin the release in July. The first batch includes those who registered from July to October of 2016. The backlog in license plates began in 2013, when the Commission on Audit questioned LTO's contract worth 3.8 billion pesos. The span of the license plate contract was supposed to be 5 years, but it was halted in 2015 and 2016. This prompted the LTO to enter into a new contract worth 1 billion pesos, which seeks to address the backlog. The 1 billion pesos covers the construction of a plate-making facility. The total number of backlogs in vehicle license plates is at 11 million. The production of new license plates will be done in this plate-making facility. But the LTO clarifies their priority are the plates covered by the new contract from July 2016 to December 2017. The effectivity of the latest government contract began in July of 2016 and ended on December 31 of 2017. It covers 775,000 pairs of vehicle plates and 1.7 billion plates for motorcycles. The contract also states the purchase of equipment for the production of license plates. The LTO, meanwhile, denies it is prioritizing the backlog in the term of the Duterte administration.
Hindi naman pwede po na hintayin ng gobyerno kung kailan lalabas yung resolution ng Supreme Court saka yung COA. The public is clamoring, demanding even, na the release of the motor vehicle plates. Kaya the DOTR allocated, as I've said, the amount of 1 billion for the procurement of these plates.
The LTO has yet to release motorcycle plates as it still awaits the final decision of Congress on the measurement of plates. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up from where Darlene Basingan left off. I'm Angelo Castro III, and here are the headlines. The Department of Agriculture to implement suggested retail price on rice and fish in local markets beginning Monday. Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency says DepEd's random drug testing in schools is not effective. And Department of Environment and Natural Resources to decommission sewer system in the White Beach once Boracay Island reopens in October. Good evening. Department of Agriculture will implement its suggested retail price on rice and fish in local markets beginning on Monday. According to Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol, the SRP for the regular milled rice will be 39 pesos per kilogram, while a kilogram of milkfish should cost 150 pesos. Tilapia, 100 pesos, and 140 pesos for each kilogram of galunggong. The DA also sets SRP for main spices like red onion and garlic. Each kilogram of red onion should cost 95 pesos, while white ones will be 75 pesos. Locally produced garlic should cost around 120 pesos per kilogram, while 70 pesos for the imported ones. Some congressmen opposed the proposal of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency to conduct mandatory drug testing of elementary students. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
The Department of Education seeks to discuss with the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency its controversial proposal to conduct mandatory drug testing of students. DepEd has expressed concern over the proposal, noting it may oblige grade 4 students and up to undergo drug testing. The department wants to clarify its implementation without violating the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act, which states random drug testing in schools is only applicable for secondary and tertiary level students.
We have to follow the mandate of the law. The law provides that it's only secondary and tertiary education.
DepEd notes it will consider PDEA's proposal only if the law is amended.
We have the random testing. Hindi lang ng mga estudyante. We start with the teachers and the staff. or admin at pati lahat ng admin staff ng DepEd from central office to region to division are mandatory.
Some congressmen, meanwhile, also oppose PIDEA's proposal. ACT Party List Representatives Antonio Thio and Franz Castro note the proposal seems to be in line with the government's target to lower the criminal age of liability to 9 years old. The lawmakers say the government should just focus on capturing drug lords instead of going after students. Magdalor Representative Gary Alejano argues the mandatory drug testing will only cause trauma to children, urging PIDEA to consider its psychological effects on children ages 9 to 10 years old or those in grade 4 level. The lawmakers also slam another proposal of PIDEA to have school children themselves pay 200 pesos for the drug testing. They argue it will only create unnecessary expenses and additional burden to parents. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
PIDEA Director General Aaron Aquino says DepEd's random drug testing in schools is not effective. He also admits pushing for a mandatory drug testing is a huge challenge. Here's why from Grace Casin.
PIDEA Director General Aaron Aquino believes the random drug testing in schools is not effective in rooting out those involved in illegal drug activities. Instead, Aquino calls for a mandatory one and that all students should undergo drug testing. He also questioned the process of random drug testing.
Kung i-random drug testing, baka yung itinetest natin, mga puro negative. Samantalang yung mga gumagamit na suspected natin, hindi natin ma-drug test. So it's safer to mandatory drug test everyone.
Aquino explains the proposal will undergo proper process and consultation before it is implemented. He also calls for additional fund for mandatory drug testing.
Huwag natin isipin kasi yung gagastusin. Walang kwenta yung gagastusin eh. Isipin natin, we are saving life of children. And this will become our very enemies in the future.
He says the government should discuss the enforcement of a mandatory drug testing, including the DOH, DepEd, CHED, DSWD, and PIDEA, that are all in the forefront in addressing illegal drugs. PIDEA chief also admits pushing for a mandatory drug testing is a huge challenge due to fierce opposition.
We are trying to do this because we want to save children. Na prevention is better than cure. Kaya gusto naming ma-prevent at this time na ang pagpasok at laganap na illegal na droga sa lahat ng eskwelahan. At sana maintindihan ng both teachers, ng mga parents at ng mga estudyante.
Aquino explains the government's anti-drug campaign also seeks to save children from parents who are involving them in illegal drugs activities. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Philippine National Police is investigating the guards of its custodial center in Camp Crame after detained former Senator Ramon Revilla Jr. posted a selfie photo on social media. Victor Cosare tells us why.
Prisoners are in no way allowed to use cell phones or any gadget inside detention cells. This is why netizens are wondering how detained former Senator Bong Revilla was able to post a selfie on social media with a caption stating his bored being in detention cell. The PNP Headquarters Support Service is now investigating why Revilla was able to use a cell phone while in jail. PNP spokesperson Police Senior Superintendent Benigno Durana says cops found colluding with the former senator will face charges.
Relief and at the same time neglect of duty, how serious it is, it will be determined by our investigators. Admin case, definitely.
Durana also denies that security is lax inside Camp Crame, noting they conduct surprise inspection at the custodial center twice a week and that they give no special treatment to anyone. He explains that they have confiscated the mobile phone used by Revilla during a surprise inspection by HSS personnel.
This is a violation of the policies, rules and regulations na pinapatupad sa ating custodial service, no?
Bacoor Mayor Lani Mercado denies her husband can use mobile phone.
Yung Facebook account po na yan ay may administrator, hindi po yan si Senator Bong Revilla. So wala po talaga siyang access sa telepono sa loob na ito po ay pinagbabawal. Kung itatanong po ninyo kung ano yung picture na yan po ay lumang litrato. Lumang litrato po yan.
Revilla is detained at the PNP Custodial Center for 4 years now due to a plunder case stemming from the pork barrel scam. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The sewer system in the White Beach of Boracay Island will no longer be used when the island reopens in October. The DENR says establishments there should also have their own sewerage treatment plant. Here's why from Vincent Arboleda.
Department of Environment and Natural Resources Secretary Roy Simatu announces that the sewer lines of Boracay Island's White Beach will no longer be used. The DENR chief says he noticed that sea level reaches the manholes of sewer lines along the White Beach during heavy rains. He says it may lead to seepage or increase of wastewater, which then leads to water contamination.
So mag-decide ako na we have to decommission yung pipe dyan sa harapan para sigurado na tayo na sa sunod-sunod na buwan o taon hindi na maulit yung nangyari na cesspool dyan sa harapan.
DENR says the capacity of the sewer system of Boracay Water and Boracay Tubi to clean all wastewater is insufficient, especially when tourists flock the island.
So ang solusyon either na meron bago or gagawa tayo ng treatment plant each.
The Municipal Ordinance Number 307 also states that establishments with 50 rooms and above should have their own sewerage treatment plant, while those with 49 and below can partner to create a clustered sewerage treatment plant. For the meantime, establishments on the White Beach can tap on the access road sewer system, but the DENR notes it would be better if owners begin building their own treatment plants to avoid overloading and prevent the possibility of wastewater leaking. Secretary Simatu also urges stakeholders to cooperate with the government to totally rehabilitate the island and maintain the cleanliness of water there. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, Boracay.
The weather in some parts of Luzon this weekend is not favorable for outdoor activities. Leslie Longbowen is at the UNTV Weather Center to tell us why.
Yes, good evening. Rainy weather will still be experienced in some areas this weekend. This southwest monsoon continues to affect the western section of northern and central Luzon. Cloudy skies with light to moderate rains and isolated thunderstorms will continue to be experienced over Ilocos region. Meanwhile, fair weather is expected over the rest of the country. According to Pag-asa, temperature in Metro Manila tomorrow will range from 24 to 33 degrees Celsius, 70 to 23 degrees Celsius in Baguio City, 25 to 32 degrees Celsius in Metro Cebu, and 25 to 33 degrees Celsius in Metro Davao. Tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 5:28 in the morning. That's weather forecast. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Leslie Longbowen, reporting from UNTV Weather Center. DOJ Justice boosters eye crumbling Senate Sentinels defense in their upcoming match in the ongoing UNTV Cup Executive Face-Off Elimination Rounds. Bernard Dadis explains why.
DOJ Justice Boosters rev up its armaments as it gear up against Senate Sentinels in the second game of UNTV Cup Executive Face-Off Triple Header on Sunday, 3:30 p.m. at the Pasig City Sports Center. DOJ head coach Nolimejo says they remain determined in winning their last two games in the elimination round to advance to the off-season playoffs along with the top three teams. Justice Boosters currently hold 2 wins and 3 loss record.
Kailangan namin manalo sa Malacanang saka sa Senate para pumasok sa Final Four.
Here's Sandalia. Gathers, collects it.
The Sentinels, meanwhile, are raring to add more win in their current 3-2 record, hoping for the return of their ace players, Senators Joel Villanueva and Sani Angara, who missed the last games due to injury.
Sabi nga nila, kung hindi sila makalaro di sa game, and then yung next 2 games, doon nila ibubuhos daw yung health nila. Kumbaga parang last 2 games, kailangan manalo talaga. Kailangan para nandun pa rin sa 4.
DOJ Senate clash will come after judiciary matches and GSIS Thunder Furies face off at 2 p.m. while Main Game presents the battle between AFP Cavaliers and Malacanang PSC Camo around 5 p.m. Bernard Daddy's UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The number of Filipino families victimized by common crimes declines in the first quarter of 2018. According to the survey results released by the social weather stations in March of 2018, around 1.5 million Filipino families, or 6.6%, have said they fell victim to common crimes within 6 months. This is 1 point lower than the 7.6% in December 2017 survey. The survey also shows that 6.1% of families have lost properties to street robbery and carjacking, while 6% said they were hurt by physical violence. According to Malacanang, lower common crime rates are significant strides of the government's campaign against illegal drugs and crime, adding that the public sentiment shown in the survey boosts the morale of law enforcement agencies. The palace also vows that the government will continue its efforts to ensure the safety of all Filipinos. The Land Transportation Office has begun to distribute around 400,000 vehicle plates to its district offices for vehicles registered from July to October 2016. The LTO says license plates for vehicles covered by the said registration date would be released by July. The agency appeals to the vehicle owners to wait for their notification on the dates they may claim their plates so they do not waste their time going to the LTO office. However, the production of motorcycle license plates is still pending, subject to the approval of the bill on the proposed size of the plate. The Department of Agriculture is set to impose its suggested retail price on rice and fish in local markets beginning on Monday, June 25. According to Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol, the SRP for the regular milled rice will be 39 pesos per kilogram, while a kilogram of milk fish should cost 150 pesos, tilapia 100 pesos, and 140 pesos for each kilogram of galunggong. DA also sets SRP for main spices like red onion and garlic. Each kilogram of red onion should cost 95 pesos, while white ones will be 75 pesos. Locally produced garlic should cost around 120 pesos per kilogram, while 70 pesos for the imported ones. PIDEA Director General Aaron Aquino believes that the Department of Education's random drug testing in schools is not effective in rooting out those involved in illegal drug activities. He says the process does not yield positive results because some students do not undergo drug tests. Aquino has been pushing for a mandatory testing of elementary students from grade 4 and above, as well as teachers and other school personnel. The official says the proposal will undergo proper process and consultation before it is implemented, but he admits this will be a huge challenge due to fierce opposition.
We are trying to do this because we want to save children. Na prevention is better than cure. Kaya gusto naming ma-prevent at this time na ang pagpasok at laganap na illegal na droga sa lahat ng eskwelahan. At sana maintindihan ng both teachers, ng mga parents at ng mga estudyante.
Environment Secretary Roy Cimatu announces that the sewer lines of Boracay Island's White Beach will no longer be used once it reopens in October. The DENR chief says he noticed that sea level reaches the manholes of sewer lines along the White Beach during heavy rains, and it may lead to seepage of wastewater and contamination. The official also says the capacity of the sewer system of Boracay Water to clean all waste water is insufficient, especially when tourists flock to the island.
So ang solution, either na meron bago or gagawa tayo ng treatment plant each.
And for the news abroad, here is Jovic Bermas from London, United Kingdom. Jovic, good evening.
Good evening, Diego. North Korea's state-run television KRT broadcast a video of its leader Kim Jong-un's third trip to China earlier in the week on Thursday. The video chronicles the activities of Kim and his wife Ri Sol-ju, who had meetings with Chinese President Xi Jinping. They also visited various places in Beijing, including an agricultural institute, a traffic control center, and the North Korean embassy. KRT says Kim and Xi have reached an understanding on the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula after discussing the outcome of the U.S.-North Korea summit. The two leaders also discussed measures to bolster strategic and tactical operation between the two countries in a second meeting on Wednesday. Tour companies seek to promote what is called nuclear tourism in ghost towns of Fukushima. Pauline Ompico tells us why.
7 years ago, a massive quake triggered a tsunami and a nuclear disaster that killed 15,000 people in Fukushima. After several years, Takoto Okamoto and other tour companies have started bringing sightseers to ghost towns encircling Japan's stricken Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant, hoping to revive the region.
I thought it's worth having overseas tourists here to update their image of Fukushima, so we can repair its tainted reputation. So I started this tour especially for foreign visitors to Japan.
As tourists sped past Okuma town, most parts of which are uninhabitable, a handheld Geiger counter measured radiation readings 100 times higher than normal background radiation. Okuma is one of the closest towns to Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. It remains under the government's evacuation order. Okamoto drove a group of Filipino tourists to Tomioka and wandered the empty streets of Namie, a town just 4 kilometers north of the plant. Such close encounters with Fukushima Daiichi attracted curious foreign tourists. Filipino Louis Ching paid 23,000 yen, or more than $200 for the tour.
This one is when some people ask you, and where did you go to Japan? I went to Fukushima, I went to Wakkanai, places that is not usually visited. And that's the sole reason that I have.
Students on school trips were another source of visitors to the derelict town of Namie, where residents had begun returning to after radiation levels subsided last year. The uneasiness about the radiation levels in Fukushima is no doubt keeping some tourists at bay. The government says overseas visitors spent more than 70 million days in Japan last year, triple the number in 2011. But only 94,000 of those days were spent in Fukushima. Pauline Ompico, UNTV News and Rescue, Tokyo, Japan.
The guessing game began on Friday as to which name New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern and partner Clark Gayford will give their first child. From Mila to Amy and even Bubbles, New Zealanders were quick to give their opinion as to which name the couple should choose for the baby girl born on Thursday. The 37-year-old Ardern became New Zealand's youngest prime minister when she took office through a coalition deal last year after an inconclusive election. She now becomes the first woman in the country's history to give birth while in office. Ardern was one of the new elected leaders to hold office while pregnant. The European Union will impose retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods beginning on Friday, while U.S. First Lady Melania Trump has been criticized for the choice of her coat worn on a trip to a migrant child detention center in Texas. Kath Carriedo tells us why.
In Belgium, the European Union will impose additional 25% tariffs on a range of U.S. products on Friday in response to U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum, the European Commission announced Wednesday. The list of U.S. imports worth 2.8 billion euros includes a vast range of items such as cranberry, orange juice, peanut butter, jeans, cosmetics, motorcycles, and steel products. While the list did not name specific brands, Jean-Claude Juncker, the president of the European Commission, have warned that the EU intends to tax items such as Harley-Davidson motorcycles and Levi's jeans. In Italy, 2 migrant rescue ships in the Mediterranean will be seized by Italian government amid deepening row over migrants. This is to determine the legal status of 2 German NGO ships carrying immigrants. The move comes as French President Emmanuel Macron attacked the leprosy of anti-EU feeling. angering Italy's new populist government. Italy sparked the fresh row earlier this month when it refused to take in the Aquarius rescue ship. Carrying 630 migrants rescued off the North African coast, the ship eventually sailed to Spain after being turned away by both Italy and Malta. In America, First Lady Melania Trump has been criticized for the choice of her coat worn on a trip to a migrant child detention center in Texas. Mrs. Trump was spotted in the coat, which featured graffiti writing on the back with the words, "I really don't care, do you?" as she boarded a plane. Her spokeswoman says there was no hidden message in the former fashion model's sartorial choice. But U.S. President Donald Trump later tweeted that his wife's coat refers to the fake news media. The First Lady's surprise visit came a day after her husband signed an executive order to modify his administration's policy of separating children from their migrant parents when they illegally enter the United States. Kath Carriedo, UNTV News and Rescue.
Those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, Diego.
Thank you, Jovic Bermas, live from London, United Kingdom. Over 1,000 drones flew over China's ancient city, portraying the golden age of Chang'an. Meanwhile, a red Ferrari 250 GTO model is expected to become the most valuable car ever to be offered for a public sale. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
A magnificent array of 1,400 drones illuminates the night sky of northwest China's Xi'an as the ancient city marks the 1,400th anniversary since it became the capital of the Tang Dynasty. The aircrafts from Chinese drone maker Yihang Egret created formations such as gate tower and painting scroll characteristic of the city, forming beautiful 3D pictures that portray the golden age of Chang'an. Poem reading and dancing performances were also staged in addition to the computer-operated drone show. Yihang Egret previously created a Guinness World Record by flying 1,374 drones over Xi'an last May. Coco the gorilla, who is said to have been able to communicate by using more than 1,000 hand signs, has died in California at the age of 46. Instructors taught her a modified version of American Sign Language to convey thoughts and feelings. The abilities of the gorilla, who also apparently understood some spoken English, were documented by animal psychologist Francine Patterson. She adopted and named pets, including a kitten she called All Ball. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news, June 22, 2018. On behalf of Darlene Basingan, I'm Angelo Castro III. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.